and welcome to the Total Soccer Show Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down Weekend Review Edition. My name is Darryl Grove, and sitting across the table from me, it's the man who taught Granit Xhaka how to pass, Rob Holding how to defend, and Aaron Ramsey how to choose his position on the field. It's Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
This is why I'm no longer a professional coach and also never was.
So we are here to talk.
Also, hello, by the way.
Thumbs down, hello. We're going to review the Premier League, some Bundesliga, some La Liga, a little MLS. We're going to get into all of that. We've got to start with the game everybody's talking about.
Yep.
And I'm going to start us off.
Yeah, Watford 0, Brighton. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
But we will be talking about that game.
Yeah.
There was one high-flying moment in that game we'll get to later. I want to start us off with a very simple one.
Sure.
Thumbs up to Liverpool for the 4-0 win over Arsenal.
Yep.
Thumbs all the way down to Arsenal, and I think specifically to Arsene Wenger for the way he sent his team out.
I mean, yeah. Should we start? What do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the beauty of Liverpool's counter-attacking play and how in form and free-flowing it looked? Or do we want to go with everything else that looked bad about Arsenal?
Let's get more detail. Let's think about sort of what Liverpool did. Let's start with the positive, right?
Sure.
Let's start with what Jurgen Klopp got right.
Sure. So I think basically Jurgen Klopp executed this game plan perfectly, and I think that he had his team just sit back a little bit more, be a little bit more reserved, and maybe make Arsenal come out a little bit more and get a little bit more stretched.
Yeah.
And I think part of that was maybe that I'm going to give Jurgen Klopp the benefit of the doubt here and say that maybe he thought if you've got that midfield pairing that we've talked about of Ramsey and Xhaka, that maybe they'd just be a little bit more attack-minded, be a little bit more inclined to like keep possession, move the ball around, but get involved in the attack and not maybe keep their positioning and make sure that they blocked out counterattacks. And that's exactly what happened, is as Arsenal kind of got forward a little bit more, especially in the beginning of the first half, they would commit numbers forward, and suddenly there's huge gaps that Liverpool, with their pace, are more than capable of exploiting. And that's what we know about Liverpool, which is why this must be maddening for Arsenal fans.
I would love to have seen a Klopp cam and maybe a Wenger cam and just track their various facial expressions throughout this game. Because I imagine as Klopp saw what Arsenal were doing, he must have had that toothy grin and rubbing his hands together like it's all... I love it when a plan plans together.
I'll say
I love it when a plan comes together.
And we're going to try to not spoil anything from Game of Thrones, even though people have said you're more than welcome to.
I just spoiled the 18.
But I would just say there was a sequence of events 2 weeks ago in which the Night King, you could just kind of tell, like, oh no, this is what he wants to be happening. Things are not going well. And I feel like that was what maybe Arsene Wenger should have picked up on in this game. That very quickly, even in that first goal, you can see the way Klopp celebrates. It's not just like, yay, we scored a goal. It is very much, oh, this game plan's going to work.
Yep.
And that, to me, would make me think, okay, I need to make some changes. I got to get this fixed up. I got to kind of cement some things a little bit more.
Yep.
And yes, Wenger switched from a back three to a back four later on in the game. But by then, the damage is done.
And what's faster, Mane and Salah and Firmino, or an ice javelin?
I mean,
at the same pace?
They're both pretty devastating. So who knows?
Shall we talk about? Okay, I'm going to give a thumbs up to one of the guys I think was really key to this. Joe Gomez, sort of not as heralded as Mane and Salah and Firmino, but the first goal starts with a Joe Gomez interception and then a Joe Gomez cross onto Firmino's head. The second goal, which will be remembered as the goal where Mane sort of burns Holding and shoots inside the box, once again starts with a Joe Gomez, Liverpool right back, interception. You got to remember, this is a young man, right? He's very early 20s. He's playing out of position. He's a centre back. He's playing out of position at right back and doing wonderful, wonderful things for Liverpool. I'm sort of already looking forward to the day when he plays centre back for England.
Yeah,
I'm maybe getting overexcited, but like the evidence of the first two goals is pretty compelling.
You might be. So then, do you envision him staying as a right back because he's so like integral in getting forward and helping out in the attack, or do you think maybe that's where he's playing right now because that's what Liverpool need, but maybe he goes back to centre back eventually?
The second one.
Okay,
I think it's one of those things where he's so good and so talented that they're just like giving him a spot in the team for now. A lot of centre backs start out playing. Actually, a lot of people start out playing right back. Steven Gerrard started out playing right back for Liverpool. You know what I mean? I think it's like a starter position in many ways. And as you get more mature and more responsible, you can like command the centre of the field. I'm maybe getting carried away just because of the evidence of this game, but I really do see Joe Gomez being a long-term, high-quality centre back.
Yeah, if you're a new listener, it's also worth noting that Joe Gomez is English, and that always factors into things when it comes to Daryl Grove. That like if he's English, he gets like 20% more hype. So,
American.
He made this interception. It was an interception no one else could have made but this one Englishman, and it was like he was just standing there and they passed the ball to him.
It was a St. George's interception. interception.
There it is.
All right, so thumbs up to Joe Gomez. Obviously, thumbs up Firmino's header, Mane beating Holding. Maybe more on that later because it happened a lot.
Can I thumbs down somebody?
Yeah, thumbs down away.
Rob Holding.
Yes.
I think, is that where you wanted to go with this one, or should we go somewhere else?
I was going to go thumbs down to Granit Xhaka for the pass that was picked off for the first goal. It was too easy to pick off. He sort of didn't really look up. He sent this like lofted floating pass out towards Bellerin, who for some reason is still Arsenal's left wing back. And it's just kind of, it gave Gomez time to see it come in and step and win it. So it's almost like if you imagine that sort of the charge of Liverpool, the way they sort of will like charge forward and step in front of you. So why would you play a slow pass and invite them to do so?
I really don't know. And I'll say this. I feel like someday someone is going to write some sort of research paper about this game because there are so many moments that you could break down and be like, well, he's doing this and why is he doing that? And even in that point, even in this sequence with that little chip, you spotted Alexis Sanchez just throws his hands up in the air and walks away in frustration.
While everybody, all the Liverpool attackers go the other way. He's part of the reason. There's another big part, which I'm guessing we'll get to, why I think Liverpool are sort of 5 attackers versus 4 defenders for a moment there.
But it was just sort of like Granit Xhaka trying to play maybe the overly elaborate balls or trying to do a little chipped pass when a normal pass would have worked. And I think he will become, maybe he already is, a very divisive figure for Arsenal fans.
Yep. I mean, for me, he kind of represents everything that's good and bad about Arsenal in that he can play beautiful passes, right? You know, the assist he had with the outside of his foot, I think, in the first week in the Leicester game. But he also, because he's so fancy, he plays some sloppy passes that opposition players can pick off. And it almost represents the Arsenal ethos under Arsene Wenger, like beauty going forward, but also that makes you vulnerable going the other way.
Well, I mean, and then there's the obvious ones that like make Gary Neville's head explode, where he tries to backheel it to his own goalkeeper and instead backheels it out for a corner kick. That's not great. But I think it's also divisive because if you choose to think of Granit Xhaka as this guy who's overly elaborate, doesn't really do what he needs to do, and can be a little bit of a liability at times, then you're going to hate him. But then you also see the charts that show like his starting position when he gets the ball versus everybody else, and he has no support. So it's definitely also an element of the Arsenal players all over the place.
He's not put in a position to succeed. Are we thinking of the same chart where you see the position of Arsenal players? It's essentially Xhaka is in front of the back three, and then the rest of the Arsenal team are just way ahead of him. So it's almost like he has to loft that pass to Bellerin because there's no short pass that's available. Do we blame Aaron Ramsey maybe for not sticking alongside him? I mean, that's technically his central midfield partner.
I mean, I know we're a little bit like all over with this game, but so much crazy stuff happened.
We're just like Arsenal's defending.
That's why, and that's why I'm saying I think there will be like a paper written about this because there's so much to dissect. But in Match of the Day 2, Martin Keown was asked about this, and does Wenger basically worry about his opponent at all? And he responded like he's very optimistic. Like he likes to go out there and try to score.
It was a very White House press secretary answer.
His belief is to go out and attack. His glass is always half full, to which the commentator responded, so that's a no. And I think you could see that. And so to your question of like who do we blame for this, I think it falls on Wenger that if you put two people who clearly aren't being instructed as to how they should be playing defensive midfield, you have the situation that arises where they are consistently, I would say constantly, out of position, so that it is almost always Liverpool breaking on Arsenal's back 3 or back 5, and it's really no midfield in there to kind of help break up play.
I'd say it's the last team in the Premier League you want breaking.
Right? I mean, and that's what I say. Like, that's why Jurgen Klopp had to have been rubbing his hands together, because it's all they want to do is sit back, count on you, break with pace, use the pace they have out wide and the talent they have out wide with the players running through, and you basically set yourself up, if you're Arsenal, to allow that to happen, to incentivize that.
I think, can we talk about something that most people will have spotted by now, I think, on the first goal, which is, I sort of thumbs up to Robbie Earle on NBC. He spotted this at half-time. He highlighted this. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, the right wing-back, and Aaron Ramsey, sort of the right side of the central midfield, are talking to someone on the bench. I'm going to assume Wenger, but maybe Steve Bold, maybe someone else.
So I think what happened is Ramsey is talking to the bench. Oxlade-Chamberlain is just running out to try to get into his position, because I think, again, maybe it's like...
I see him looking in the same direction.
He at first he's running, then he starts talking to Ramsey, and then he gets involved in the conversation. But I think at first it's Ramsey trying to figure something out with the bench, which is fine, except that the ball's in play, and that is not fine.
So Arsenal have possession at this point, but while they're talking is when Xhaka plays that pass, Joe Gomez Gomez picks it off, and Liverpool come back the other way, and then you've got Ramsey out of position and Oxlade-Chamberlain out of position. So almost your entire right side is engaged in a conversation with the sideline as Liverpool come at you.
Yes. So that's not ideal. And then it's also not ideal because then if you've got your right wing back out of position, then your center back is going to have to cover, and that's exactly what Rob Holding was trying to do.
Yeah.
And so why I said thumbs down to Rob Holding, I have much evidence to back that up. But this is one situation where you could say, oh, he should have stepped to Firmino. But when you've got everything else going on in the box, you can understand why he was a little bit hesitant to leave one wide open player to go mark another wide open player.
So people notice this. Why is Firmino so open for that header in the box? Yes, Holding should have stepped towards him, but also Holding is really confused about which way to go because he's got this big gap to his other side that I think Oxlade-Chamberlain is kind of hustling back at the last minute to try and fill. So can we say thumbs down, but also an arm around the shoulder for Rob Holding? Because he didn't defend well, but he was also massively exposed, and I almost want to hug him like in Good Will Hunting and say, it's not your fault, Rob.
I mean, it was and it wasn't. I mean, yes, I think I would say that he is definitely a victim of, again, Arsenal not being set up in any way that allows them to play cohesive soccer offensively or defensively.
Yeah.
But I mean, he kept Joe Gomez on side for that cross. Maybe Xhaka was involved in there too. He's beaten by Mane pretty badly for the second goal. He has the bad clearance that leads to that Mane one-on-one chance that's saved in the second half. Then he gets beat by Emre Can in the lead up to goal number 4.
It's a list of accusations against Rob Holding.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically so I can understand why you'd want to put your arm around him, but those are all bad, and you would expect a good Premier League level defender, even if he is kind of hung out to dry, to at least break up one or two of those plays and not make 4 or 5 really bad defensive errors.
Can we focus? It seems like we're focusing on this Liverpool-Arsenal game, but I think that's good because this is the thing people are talking about this weekend, right? The second goal, where it's a counter-attack, right? Where Mane just sort of fakes left and accelerates inside and gets around Holding and then shoots past Cech. I think that's a classic example where one, he was exposed because they left a lot of space for Mane to get ahead of steam and run at him because there's no midfield in front of him to slow that down. But two, Holding still, it's not very good one-on-one defending. He sort of is scared of Mane's pace and so backs off a little bit and therefore gives Mane way too much space to sort of go this way and that and then accelerate past him.
Yeah, I would say, and to the first
Joe
point...
Gomez would have closed it down, is what I'm saying.
Sure. To the first point, in that sequence, when Joe Gomez intercepts the ball, I think Aaron Ramsey is the furthest forward of any Arsenal player. That's one of your holding midfielders. Shaka's out wide, so suddenly there's that huge gap.
So Holding's massively exposed.
Yes, but then I think the defending that he attempts, quote-unquote defending that he attempts on Mane, it is indicative of a player that is sort of on his back foot, that is sort of reeling. That it's
scared defending, right?
It's I don't want to make a mistake. I'm going to stand here and try to force him to the end line, but I'm not going to overcommit. I don't want to concede a penalty, but I don't want to get beat.
And oh no, he's gone.
And then oh no, he's gone. Yeah, on a fairly simple foot waggle touch. That's
why am I looking at his back?
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's just I do feel bad for him because it is going to be a bad highlight reel of him.
Yeah.
Oh, look, he over pursued there. Oh, he made a bad clearance. But then you watch it again and you look at the build up and it's oh, well, he over pursued because he had to close 30 yards to try to close a player down who should have been closed down by a holding midfielder.
Can I give one more thumbs up to a Liverpool player?
Sure.
Joel Matip, centre back. So I kept seeing him aggressively step out and win the ball, but no better moment than, I think it ends with a Mohamed Salah goal on the break, the one he scores on the huge counter-attack after someone tackles Bellerin. He tackles Bellerin halfway, right? It's an Arsenal corner. Liverpool famously not great at defending set pieces because they're doing that zone system and they're not attacking the ball. Joel Matip steps up, attacks the ball, wins the ball, heads it clear enough that he starts that counter-attack. So doing everything right.
Then Hector Bellerin is I'll just settle it and flick it up to myself. Oh no, the ball's gone.
Did I call him David Bellerin earlier? I think I did.
Maybe you did. I'm not sure.
So someone's already written a tweet and they'll get to this part and they'll be
I feel like you just combined David Ospina and Hector Bellerin. I'll give thumbs question mark. Is that possible to Felipe Coutinho? Because I'm very curious how he's feeling in the moment.
Yeah.
It's come out today that I guess he's has been called into the Brazil squad and has been cleared to play, which is interesting given that he's been out with injury. His doctor has apparently commented that it was stress. It was stress of an unknown future that was preventing him from being able to play, but now he's good to go. Which points to he is definitely still agitating for a move. And I wonder...
Is that doctor breaking the Hippocratic Oath? I guess he's not really, but it's he's not giving accurate medical information.
What do you mean?
Because that's not really what's happening, is it?
Well, I think they have to have justification to clear him for international duty.
Okay.
If he wasn't cleared by the club or if he hasn't been playing for the club and their doctors have said, something's wrong, he says his back hurts, they probably have to say like can't just say like, oh no, his back is totally fine now. What a miracle!
But that would be accurate.
Yeah, so it's maybe. So I think they're probably going with like, oh, he carries his stress in his lower back and it's been causing problems, but now he's good to go. But I do wonder in these moments if like they've just beaten Arsenal 4-0, does that make it seem like, oh, we don't even need you? You're welcome to rot on the bench and play with the U23s, or is it more so like we don't even need you? So I guess we could sell you to Barcelona for a bunch of money.
It depends what happens. So the transfer window will close, late Thursday night in, I guess, UK time. So 7 p.m.-ish Thursday here in US Eastern time. So we'll know by then. But right now, Coutinho's looking at like the fourth choice forward in the Liverpool front three. Or he's going to go and play for a team in Barcelona who are kind of on a downswing right now, where Liverpool are looking like this really exciting team to play for.
My prediction is that he'll go.
Really?
I think so. I would have said that a couple days ago, and I really wouldn't even have said that until this morning when, number one, you get this result, but number two, you start hearing about all the different, that they've agreed to Naby Keita for next summer, that deal's done. That
Liverpool have signed Keita for next year.
And so you can announce that. It's been rumored / announced that they've put in a £70+ million bid for Thomas Lemar of Monaco. So suddenly I feel like maybe they're trying to get some deals done to soften the blow of, oh yeah, we're going to let him go, but we don't even need him. We brought in these three guys, and our team looks good.
They know there's money coming in.
Yeah,
right.
Also that
their debits and their credits are going to balance out.
Yes, so that would be my guess.
Thinking of my own bank account.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you have 130 million coming in, do you?
I mean, not million. I have 130.
But
final thumbs down. Then I want to give on this game.
Yeah.
To Arsene Wenger's team selection.
Yeah.
Because there were two guys on the bench at least that I thought should have started this game.
Yeah.
One of them's Alexandre Lacazette,
Yep.
who I think has been really good in the first few Premier League games. Instead, he started Danny Welbeck.
Yep.
And Wenger's justification, I just saw this on an Arsenal blog. I'm sorry, I can't remember which one. I saw Wenger's reasoning being that Lacazette is still adjusting to the Premier League.
Yep.
He scored after 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Danny Welbeck is still adjusting to the Premier League, if you ask me, based on some of the shooting that we saw from him in this game.
Yeah, and I mean, you could read that any number of different ways. I wouldn't take it with the literal one.
Yeah,
He just needs time. Like, I think there's probably, he didn't understand the system, or we want to bring him as an impact player, or whatever. But it still doesn't make much sense to me. And then I think you said 2, I would say 3, because you've got Mustafi on the bench. Maybe that's because he's getting a move.
It looks like he's getting a move, yeah.
And then Kolasinac.
That was my third one.
Yeah.
That was been my second one. Said Kolasinac. To me, that's
assumed he
more
was injured.
Muscular, sort of either left back or left centre back.
Yeah.
I would have thought he was perfect for this game. He was not injured.
Nope. No, he was on the bench. And then, you had Coquelin comes on for Ramsey in the 46th. Lacazette does come on, but then Olivier Giroud comes on for Alexis Sanchez later on. But you still have tons of talent there that could probably make a difference, especially if the people that are on that field don't seem too motivated to stay there.
Speaking of transfers, and people not being motivated to stay there, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, at time of recording, a fee has been agreed between Chelsea and Arsenal for his transfer to Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
I don't. Do Arsenal have some spending coming? Because otherwise, you're going to have a team that wasn't looking that great. He's going to be even further weakened.
Yeah.
So unless there's some massive transfer splash coming before September 1st, then I'm really worried about Arsenal.
I would be too, especially if I were an Arsenal fan, because you've got those names that you've just mentioned, but then there's also rumors that Kieran Gibbs is on the way out, Mustafi as well. We already talked about. So suddenly you could have Arsenal losing 3 players, maybe more, in the next week. And I don't see how you replace them that quickly.
All right. Anything else to say on this game before we move on to other thumbs up, less exasperated thumbs up, thumbs down?
Yeah, I want to say thumbs up to Rebecca Lowe. This was pointed out to me by my buddy Trey. He said he was going to go back to look for the exact quote, but basically Rebecca Lowe, during the post-match highlights, paused mid-sentence and said, and Arsenal don't have any highlights, so here's the second half from Liverpool, was how she introduced the highlights. So well done to her.
That is a good line. Let's end on this note. Yeah, Arsenal no shots at goal, right?
Yep.
Wasn't that part of it? This feels like one of the sort of, I want to say, biannual lows for Arsenal. Like, this seems to happen a couple times every year. Last year it was definitely the shocking defeat to Bayern Munich in the Champions League. This year I feel like it's come early. What were we, 3 games in the Premier League?
No, a couple years ago, I think 2011 maybe it was, they lost to, I think, Villa on the opening day. And that was immediately like, oh, this isn't going to work. And I think this time on this day a few years ago, more than a few years ago, was when they lost 8-2 to Manchester United. So sometimes it happens very early in the season, and Arsenal are immediately in crisis.
So my question to you, and this isn't an easy question to answer, so steel yourself, is this just the run-of-the-mill Arsenal low before they start climbing back up? Or is this sort of an actual nail in the coffin of Wenger at Arsenal? Because people are not happy right now.
I think
banners are being attached to planes as we speak.
I think it's somewhere in between. And and at the same time, weirdly, I think it doesn't matter because whatever it is, it's bad. And I think like even if it is your usual slip, if it's Arsenal, this is what they do, why renew him then? Like, why give him another 2 years if it's going to be the same old thing? And I think that seems to be the common refrain is we know what we're getting here. It's the same stuff that always happens. We haven't dealt with it. Then why stick with him and expect him to change things? And that's where I'm a little bit at a loss, is I don't see how they change things, especially if this is seen as his sort of like last hurrah. Yeah. And that was the kind of narrative coming into the season, is he's going to hold on to the players that he can hold on to for this year at least and really challenge for it. And now they're selling players all over the place.
Yeah, the story I saw was that like they're just going to let Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Alexis Sanchez let their contracts run out. Doesn't matter. We'll just use their skills for this year and then let them go. But instead, now selling Oxlade-Chamberlain to theoretically a title rival. Yeah. Although Arsenal are 16th in the table right now.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, let's move on to talk. Let's go to Manchester City. I want to give a thumbs up to Gabriel Jesus.
Okay.
Man City beat Bournemouth 2-1, came from behind, won in the end. Pep Guardiola had to choose, or, he's been doing the two strikers, Aguero and Jesus, and it wasn't quite working. He had to choose one this weekend. He went with Gabriel Jesus in more of a 4-3-3, him as the central striker, and he came good. So Jesus scores. Have you seen this goal?
I have.
There's a foul on, I believe, Bernardo Silva, and Jesus has the presence of mind. Take it quickly, give it to David Silva, and then make a run in behind, ready for the through ball. Jesus on the score sheet.
So you're giving credit to Jesus, and it's a fine finish, but I'm giving thumbs up and all of the credit for that to David Silva. That ball is a 35-ish yard ball that is on the ground that splits four players directly into the path of Gabriel Jesus who's running onto it. I think that is a beautiful ball from David Silva.
I'm not disagreeing, but I just think Jesus taking the quick free kick, to me that's like a really sort of speaks really highly of a 20-year-old and how confident he is and how quick thinking he is.
Yeah, that's fair. And I'll say I also give thumbs down to Nathaniel Ake because he's the one who concedes that free kick that leads to the goal.
And then can't keep up with Jesus.
And then he had a few other mistakes throughout the game. He had like a really bad clearance that he whiffs on that leads to like a point-blank shot for David Silva. So a little bit of a nervy game for him. Thumbs down for this game at least.
Yeah. What about Raheem Sterling? Does he get thumbs up or thumbs down? Because he scores the winner, but also gets sent off.
I mean, you can give him thumbs up. I don't have much to say about him other than I have thumbs up to Mike Dean because it was the correct decision.
Was it?
Yeah, I mean, you can't do that, and I think it's not even necessarily.
Well, he jumped in the crowd to celebrate.
Yeah, because I think it's like then you are. I forget what the actual ruling is, and I'm sure we'll hear about it. But I think part of it is like public safety that you can't incite fans coming into the ground, and that's what he's done. But by the letter of the law, that's a yellow card, and to me, it's no different.
It's a second yellow.
Yeah, and to me, it's no different than if he had scored that goal and taken off his shirt, like in the heat of. And I know that Alan Shearer on Match of the Day was very like, you can't tell a player not to celebrate. You can't tell him not to celebrate with his fans, but you can. It's a yellow card.
It's harsh though, right? It's really harsh. I think it's a late winner. And then you just...
it was like 93rd, yeah.
Yeah, so you're pumped, so you jump in the crowd and celebrate. Like, it's supposed to be like a great moment for those fans. You know what I'm saying? So to have it kind of ruined by the referee, I'm not sure I join you in the thumbs up to Mike Dean.
I mean, that's fine, because he made plenty of other mistakes, and I think I'll say it can quickly become a thumbs down if... the next time that happens, he doesn't produce the card, and that's the frustrating thing. Is I mean, in this game, in this weekend, other players jumped into the crowd or like made contact with fans and like hugged a fan on the sideline.
No yellow.
So I mean, technically, it's a yellow card. And so that's where I give him credit is everyone's like, oh, this is ridiculous. It's no different to me than like a couple weeks ago when everybody was like, well, yes, he was offside, but the referee couldn't have seen that. So it's a bad call. It's like, no, it's not. He put his flag up for offside. The player was offside. It just feels like everybody is upset about this, and I understand the emotion, but that's the reality. It's going to be a yellow card. Again, to me, it's no different than taking off your shirt.
All right. Vote Taylor Rockwell to follow the letter of the law.
But with that in mind, I'll say thumbs up to Sergio Aguero. Yes, he didn't start, but he does come on. Yeah, and then there was the whole... fracas brouhaha, like whatever you want to go with.
Neither of those two.
I mean, kind of. That's what it was. Where basically he was initially the steward said that Sergio Aguero had hit him, and there was this whole controversy.
I don't know about this.
Yeah, you missed all this. Yeah. So I guess basically, I can't remember if it was in reaction to that goal or if it was in another time. But basically, fans are on the pitch. a steward takes a fan down, and Sergio Aguero kind of comes over. And I think initially, if you watch it, he picks up the steward's like hat and is trying to give it to him. But they've pinned this guy on the ground, and I think he's sort of like, hey, like, calm down a little bit, and he puts his hand on the steward, and the steward like knocks his hand away and slaps him, and I think Aguero gives him a shove back. So then it was this whole like, oh, he hit me, I've been struck. And then I think maybe didn't realize that there were cameras all over them, and suddenly that claim was withdrawn. But I want to say thumbs up to Sergio Aguero for being polite and picking up someone's hat. But then also being like, hey, that's a Man City fan. Maybe stop pinning him on the ground. It's not that big of a deal.
So I'm sorry, I've missed this narrative. Did this all happen, this fracas / brouhaha, did this happen as a result of Sterling jumping in the crowd?
I can't remember, but I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
In this case, I might join you on the Mike Dean.
I can't remember if it was later on, but either way, yeah. And then there was a whole controversy afterwards, which has since been dropped. So that's handled. But I respect Sergio Aguero.
But back to on-field matters.
Yeah.
Thumbs up to Raheem Sterling's finish. He essentially scored, it's kind of like a field goal in the NFL because the ball was like placed on someone's thigh and he just stepped in and played it from there.
Yep. And put it in the back of the net.
Yeah.
He
was like pitching from a mound, sort of. I thought it was a really sort of inventive finish. That's quite a hard thing to do when the ball's resting on someone else's thigh.
Yeah. I think it's hard to top Charlie Daniels' finish, and I had thumbs up to him for the early goal of the season candidate because if you haven't seen it, it is a
this is for Bournemouth, by the way.
Rocket from a tight angle that does the like beautiful underside of the crossbar into the side netting, but hits so hard from such a great angle. It's an early contender for goal of the season, and a key component for me when you've got those long-range strikes is the keeper at full stretch.
Yeah.
Ederson is at full stretch trying to get that one.
He's a big dude as well.
It's a very pretty goal. Yes.
All right, before we move on, we've got some more Premier League to talk, as well as elsewhere in the world. But we have a new sponsor on today's show, and it's a sponsor I'm very excited about.
Tell us about them, Mr. Grove.
Because they're a Richmond company, and they're a company we've used ourselves. The sponsor is Bonfire. If you've bought a Total Soccer Show t-shirt in the past few days, then you've bought it through Bonfire. We've used this company. We love what they do. And so we're really excited that they're now a sponsor of the show.
That's right. Bonfire.com lets sports teams, organizations, and individuals sell custom t-shirts online. There are no upfront costs. There is no inventory to manage. So
if you imagine there are other companies out there and they take kind of a big cut when you do a custom design through them and try and sell it. I'm thinking of like tees that you make custom, or maybe somewhere you've pressed it in a cafe. Those kinds of companies, they take a massive, massive cut of your profit. Bonfire, it's a very fair revenue share. It makes it very much worth your while to do.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's really nice is because of the way they do fulfillment, you're not going to be stuck with like 20 boxes of extra shirts. We still have some from our first run of the Sapphire Blue.
Yep.
But they're all in like extra small and like triple XL.
We got the sizes wrong. We've got the sizes that people don't wear because we had to do this big order, and now we've sort of overstocked. And we did that order out of pocket.
You're really building up the number of companies you can mention in one ad. Well done. So all you have to do is create a design, share your shirt on social media or through email. When your campaign ends, Bonfire will print and ship all orders directly to your supporters, which is definitely a very useful thing.
So the important thing is that you don't have to sort of pay to print these to begin with. You just set up the store on bonfire.com and then you set up the t-shirts that you're going to sell. No cost out of your pocket. You just start selling them and you get the money later. You use your custom t-shirt campaign for profit or for fundraising features to raise money for your team or a non-profit that you want to raise money for. You can even sell several styles like hoodies, V-necks or tank tops in multiple color offerings at the same time, just like we're doing now.
Indeed. And the other key thing here is if you're not the designer type, you can go to bonfire.com/totalsoccer to receive free t-shirt design services. All you need is a community that would love having custom apparel made available to them, and Bonfire will take care of the rest, from design to customer checkouts and order fulfillment.
So here's why we're thinking this is a good idea for TSS listeners, right? If you're a podcaster and you want to sell some t-shirts to support and promote your podcast, we think bonfire.com is the perfect place to do it. If you've got a team, a youth team or an adult team that you want to raise money for, do it through bonfire.com/totalsoccer and you'll be able to make money for your team or a non-profit that you want to benefit. Go to bonfire.com/totalsoccer. That way they'll know that we've sent you there. Here's the other thing we'll do. Anyone who starts a campaign through bonfire.com/totalsoccer, we're going to take a look through. If you email us and let us know about your campaign, we'll pick some of our favorites and we'll promote them on the Total Soccer Show to sort of give you an extra bump. We'll try and give you the Total Soccer Show bump.
That works for me. We're also going to be doing limited runs of shirts ourselves, so we have some available right now, and that I think maybe we might outsource a few to see if there are any like slogans or designs or ideas that people think would be particularly good for Total Soccer Show apparel.
I've already seen a couple on Twitter. Yeah. So one more time, it's bonfire.com/Total Soccer. The link will be in the show notes so you can find it easily. And thank you to Bonfire for sponsoring today's show.
So, with that said, back to the Premier League then, because I've got some more thumbs up, thumbs down to hand out.
Go for it.
Should we go to... We'll stay in Manchester, even though we were in Bournemouth previously. We're going to go to Manchester, Old Trafford, Manchester United 2-0 win over Leicester City. I'm going to say thumbs up to Manchester United substitutes. So I believe I'm correct. I might have the numbers wrong, but I think this is accurate. 4 goals from substitutes last season in the Premier League for Manchester United. 6 so far this season, including in this game. Marcus Rashford, a substitute, scores the first goal. The second goal off of Marouane Fellaini's thigh.
And you're not giving him the... It's going to go down as a Marouane Fellaini goal.
I mean, it is a goal, yeah.
He celebrated like he'd scored it from 35 yards.
Sure did, but it comes from a Jesse Lingard shot. All 3 of them second-half substitutes. So 2 goals and an assist from second-half subs.
Am I right in saying Manchester United have not conceded a goal this year?
You are correct.
3 games in. That's starting to get a bit scary.
3 wins.
This feels like Mourinho's first spell at Chelsea, but with more goals.
I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay if it lasted longer.
Speaking of that game, this ties into something I saw in the Burnley-Spurs game. I want to give a thumbs up to goalkeepers proposing to strikers. And what I'm talking about is the saves.
I know what you mean.
There's been 2 saves this weekend where goalkeepers have come out, sliding out, gone down on one knee and made a foot save. Burnley keeper Tom Heaton, prevented Harry Kane getting another goal in the 1-1 draw, Spurs-Burnley at Wembley. And I believe David De Gea does the same to Andy King for Man United against Leicester. It's almost like a new style of save that we're enjoying on the Total Soccer Show.
Well, it's a save that David De Gea, it's like the form that he used to utilize a lot, but we had a different word for it that we're not going to use anymore given current political situations. So instead, we're just going to call it the proposal save.
Yeah, so you go down on one knee and you have your arms block either side, and then also you end up making a foot save mostly.
Yeah, basically, But it works. And I think
you've blocked all available space.
I think basically, as we've talked about before, basically it allows you to block out space on the ground because you've got like the 1 foot outstretched and then the 1 foot drop down, so it kind of creates like a flat front, and then you still got your hands where you can deal with like any sort of chip or like driven shot. So it gives you the maximum amount of space covering ability.
Plus, you get to say I don't. So you made the proposal, but you say I don't let you score.
That was all I had from that game because I also had the David De Gea proposal save as one of my thumbs up.
I've got a thumbs down for Frank de Boer trying to make Crystal Palace play out of the back, because you know what? It's not working. They haven't scored yet. They have 0 points. They are 19th in the Premier League.
So I want to say from that game, Crystal Palace losing to Swansea at home 2-0. Thumbs up to Phil Neville's analysis of this one, because basically he pointed out that
you've been watching a lot of British TV.
I've been watching a lot of stuff. But basically his point with this was that they're at a critical juncture because
Crystal Palace,
in the first half when they try to play possession soccer and play out of the back, it does not look good. But when they play more direct, as they did in the second half, they look much better.
You've got a Benteke.
But that's why Frank de Boer was brought in, to not play direct soccer. Like, lots of coaches can play direct ball. So the question is, do you go direct? And if so, why did you bring in Frank de Boer?
I think it's a classic post-Sam Allardyce mistake that a lot of teams make. They're sort of like, or a post-Tony Pulis mistake, where you're sort of like, this isn't working for us. Our fans don't enjoy this. Let's bring in someone who's going to play some more possession-type football. And what happens is you get things like Martin Kelly trying to play it out of the back, getting tackled by Kyle Norton, and he immediately puts Jordan Ayew through on goal.
Oh, that's the one you're going to focus on? Because I have thumbs down to Martin Kelly's substitute appearance. Not great. He came on for James Tompkins in the 41st minute, gets beat for the opening goal by Tammy Abraham, just muscled off the ball in the 44th, so 3 minutes later. Then he gets robbed, as you said, by Kyle Norton, who then plays in Jordan Ayew for the second. So both goals, he's directly at fault.
But I'm focusing specifically on, so he picks off a Tammy Abraham pass, Martin Kelly, and he can do anything he wants with it. Tries to dribble past Kyle Norton, tries to play out of the back, gets tackled, concedes. It's almost like Frank de Boer, it's the wrong idea. He said at the start of the season, like, I know we're not winning, but they're getting it, we're getting there, it's all working out. They're going to just end up in trouble. They're going to have to change sooner rather than later. They either change coach or Frank de Boer has to come up with a different style of play. Crystal Palace in the Premier League are not Ajax in the Eredivisie. Well, it's 2 very different teams you're managing there.
I disagree with you. You mentioned Tony Pulis earlier, and you look at what happened after he left Stoke. And Mark Hughes comes in, and you could say Mark Hughes has not been as successful maybe, but it's still a much different Stoke City team now than it was under Tony Pulis.
But he didn't come in and say, we're going to play tiki-taka, possession, total football here at Stoke City.
No.
It was still much more direct.
It was a much more gradual. But, I mean, I would say now they're less direct than they certainly were under Pulis, and even when Mark Hughes took over. I think
anywhere Pulis is not is less direct.
I think the difference is that he was more gradual in the approach, and I think it has been sort of like, no, we're doing this, and then in the second half, it's like, all right, well, yeah, go long.
Maybe I went too heavy on that, but I think the idea of just trying to like switch a team from a Sam Allardyce team to a Frank de Boer team over the course of a summer, it was never going to work out.
I mean, I don't know if I agree, because I think if you have a full summer and if you bring in some players, you can make it work. I think the issue they're at now is that it doesn't appear to be working, but direct ball still appears to be working. And to me, that speaks more so to the players haven't bought into it. If the players are really trying to make it work and figure it out, then you can make it work. But if the players are like so struggling with it that they're just like, you know what, let's just kick it long and then we'll look good again, it means that maybe they're not that excited to try to play that type of soccer, which then means maybe they're in trouble.
I mean, I think they're trying. They're just not. It's just not working out. Should we see what? I imagine Frank de Boer's going to have a bit of a rethink over the international break, and we'll see when Crystal Palace come back. Do they just aim for Benteke's head instead?
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Well, they're not the only ones who are doing silly things when it comes to defense, because I want to move us to Newcastle 3, West Ham 0. And I want to say thumbs down to West Ham for attempting to dribble out of the back.
Oh, they're doing the same thing?
They
Is
are.
Frank de Boer moonlighting Slaven Bilic's advisor?
It was bad. So for the first goal, Declan Rice is trying to dribble, stripped by Matt Ritchie.
Oh, he's the young kid who was brought off at half-time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then for the second goal, Lanzini, who I thought was going to be the difference maker, you bring him in, he's that kind of creative number 10 that West Ham need. He gets stripped by Matt Ritchie, and that leads to the second goal. So trying to dribble out of the back, not great decisions for West Ham.
But thumbs up Matt Ritchie.
Yeah.
Go Matt Ritchie.
And as I said on Twitter, it seems like basically the Palace players and the West Ham players are trying to outdo each other to see which one of them can get their manager fired. Because Slaven Bilic is also in a pretty precarious position now.
Okay, I've got a final thumbs up to Alvaro Morata's head, which got an assist and a goal. The rest of him was involved too. And Willian's feet. Willian has looked incredible for Chelsea. Well, I've forgotten the Chelsea score this weekend. They win 2-0. Yeah, over Everton, thank you. I didn't have it in my notes. Yeah, Chelsea beat Everton 2-0. Morata with a headed assist and a headed goal. And I only saw the highlights, but every time Willian got the ball, he looked like Eden Hazard. The way he was just like turning and accelerating past people. I think he's going to do like a Game of Thrones Arya type thing, pull his face off, and it'll be Eden Hazard all along.
Isn't Eden Hazard still in the Chelsea team?
Yes.
So it's two players.
No,
in
he didn't
spot?
start. I don't think. I think he's still injured. Yeah.
Or it could just be that Willian is very good at soccer. That could also be the thing.
These are two 50-50 possibilities. Like CNN, you've got to represent both sides, and one of them might be right.
I think the only thing worse than that theory is the tackle put in by Miguel Britos. So I'm going to say thumbs down to him for. It
hurts just reimagining.
But by the same token, I mean thumbs up to him for getting the worst tackle of the season award out of the way. Because if you haven't seen it, it's pretty terrible. And then he has the audacity to contest it and complain to the referee for the straight red card. But he comes flying in, like basically aiming for the knee, and it's Knockaert, which still doesn't seem like the way you should pronounce that name.
Brighton. He's French. That's why.
Yeah, but it seems like it should just be Knockaert, is all I'm saying. But yeah, I guess it's Knockaert. He'd already beaten him like twice in that game, and this is inside the first 25 minutes or so, I think, is when this red card comes. But I think it was maybe just a little bit of frustration and just sort of red mist for a second going in. And basically they were lucky that Knockaert was fast enough was fast enough to not really get the full impact, because if he had, that's broken bones or some sort of horrific knee injury.
So if you haven't seen this, I'm going to say it's okay to watch it because there's not a horrible injury at the end of it. But you should just marvel at what Britos is trying to do. He's literally, I think he thinks he can fly. He sort of flies through the air, and then he's got his leg extended like a lunge. So it's two bad tackles in one. Two for the price of one.
It's his third red since the start of last season, which is notable. And it's also notable because the commentators at first, from as far away as they are, as soon as that tackle happens, and it really doesn't look it looks bad, but it doesn't look as terrible from like the usual angle. But even then, they're both like, "Ooh, that's going to be bad." And then the red comes out, and their reaction just gets angrier and more more shocked with every replay.
Because the replays get closer and closer, right? So the closer you see it, the more you're like, "Oh no!"
And the final one, where it's just like so obvious, I believe it ends with the commentator saying, "That's pretty stupid."
All right, so thumbs down for Britos for believing he can fly.
Yes, exactly. And with that, I think that's about all I have from the Premier League this weekend.
Let's go Bundesliga then.
Okay.
So Bundesliga, huge thumbs up to Christian Pulisic for a stellar performance for Borussia Dortmund on the right wing as they beat Hertha Berlin 2-0. We're very sorry, Matt Herman. But I guess Matt Herman at least got to enjoy Christian Pulisic's performance.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that makes up for it.
So Pulisic, not technically on the score sheet, doesn't technically get an assist, but he absolutely tortured Hertha down that right wing, and he kind of got an MLS assist on the Nuri Sahin goal.
I think you're being a little generous
Am
there,
I?
but I know your inclination still loves Christian Pulisic.
So Pulisic gets down the right, fires a low cross in. I think it's sort of half cleared, and Nuri Sahin hits a sweet half volley from outside the area or the top of the area. It was from distance. It was very, very, very nice.
It was indeed. We've also reached the point now, I'm a little nervous, with Christian Pulisic where we've gone from like, oh, he's amazing, this is so exciting. I'm starting to see a little bit of that turn into like, oh, he's shooting a little bit too much. I don't know if I like how direct he's being in the attack.
Well, you've seen people say that?
Just a little bit. And I think then it's usually met with jokes about how he just thinks he's the new Arjen Robben, and if so, then he needs to lose a lot more hair. But I have no problem with it so far, because it seems like that's what he's been told to do, is go at people and try to make goals happen.
And so I didn't watch this full match. I'm
guessing it's more elaborate of a briefing than go at people and make goals happen, but who knows?
I'm sure Peter Bosz gets more complicated than that.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch the 90 minutes of this. I kind of skipped through and watched chunks of it. But I saw Pulisic just kept going at Hertha down that side. But here's the thumbs down. Dortmund have signed Andriy Yarmolenko from Dynamo Kiev. Can you guess what Yarmolenko's favoured position is?
I'm going to guess it's either right midfield or left midfield? Right wing, left wing?
He prefers right wing.
Yeah.
He can also play left wing, and he can play centre forward. So after Dembele leaving and Schürrle being injured and Royce being injured, like, Pulisic was like sort of, oh, this is my team. I've got the keys to the car here. Yarmolenko's, I think he's 25 or 27. He's like older than the usual Dortmund teenagers that they bring in. So he's obviously coming in there as a first-team player. Pulisic's got some competition.
Yeah, I think he's got competition, but I think he's being brought in as a veteran who can augment the squad and help. My guess is that Pulisic is in there as the starter.
You think?
Unless things go south. I mean, I'm sure there'll be rotation. Certainly, that's kind of the style in the system, and you've got Champions League as well.
You've also got the fact that, he's still only, 18? He'll turn 19, I think, in September. Yep. So you don't want to burn him out with playing too many games.
No.
So it would make sense to be like, oh, Christian Pulisic's good. He's going to play all our Bundesliga games, all our Cup games, all our Champions League games. And we hope he'll still have something left in the tank for the World Cup.
Yeah.
Right?
But also keep in mind,
maybe it's good. Maybe it's good that he'll get some rest so he'll be not worn out for the World Cup.
Well, yeah, but I think it's also worth noting that it's not as though, if Dembele had stayed at Dortmund, then Pulisic would never have played a minute. There's also decent chances that they rotate, or that they're both on the field at the same time, or maybe Pulisic drops back into more of a right midfield spot at times if Yarmolenko's in there. So who knows?
Okay,
but we shall see.
So I'm going to move my thumb back to the mid position for the Yarmolenko transfer.
Yes.
If nothing else, Yarmolenko's fun to watch, so we'll get to see some Yarmolenko when we watch Dortmund.
I want to say thumbs up to Bundesliga title race, because can you believe, Daryl, that we've got a title race going on?
Is it Bayern Munich
it's
at the top?
Dortmund, Munich,
Dortmund.
Hamburg, and Hanover all on 6 points.
Hamburg on 6 points. So my prediction at the start was that relegation clock would stop because they would finally get relegated for the first time. I guess one of the reasons they're not right now is a thumbs up to Bobby Wood.
Yeah.
Bobby Wood on the score sheet as Hamburg beat FC Köln 3-1. So I made you watch this goal. I remember we pulled this up in the studio, and because if you see this goal, Bobby Wood essentially stands still, and a cross comes in, a cross is cleared, and then a pass finds him, and then he turns and shoots. And my question to you is he just standing still and getting lucky, or is he doing something very clever? I just want you to tell listeners what you told me, because I believed it when you told me.
Again, sorry to be contrarian. I don't think it's either. I don't think he's doing anything very clever. I think he's doing what he should be doing as a striker.
Which is
basically holding his shape. And he's not... The player that I think inspired me the most when it comes to this sort of movement is Jamie Vardy. And I love how Jamie Vardy sometimes knows when to move and sometimes knows when to stay. Alexandre Lacazette, who you mentioned earlier, does the same thing. He knows when he needs to make himself available and when he needs to hold space to create space for other people. That's what I feel like what Bobby Wood does. You're right, he doesn't move very much, but you can see him up on his toes.
That's true. He's still his position doesn't move, but I guess he's on his toes, and you can see him almost doing the left right sort of jogging on the spot kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. But you can also see him sort of aware that he needs to stay on those last defenders, that he doesn't need to just run over me hey, I'm here now too. Am I helping? Or abdicate space in case somebody else wants to occupy it. I think he does well to hold shape, to know where he needs to be, and then it ends up being in the right position to get that shot off. So I wouldn't say it's him being super clever and ooh, that guy stepped and I can come in behind. But it's definitely just sort of I need to be here. I should wait here. I'm the striker.
I could see if it was me, I would be running around trying to find a hole to run
Exactly.
into.
Yeah. I would do the exact
That's
same
why I
thing.
don't play in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, but
or centre forward.
But it's also, I think Bobby Wood probably would have done that years ago because you're trying to prove yourself. You're trying to show, like, hey, I can help. I can do this. I can do that. When in reality, it's like, no, I'm going to stay up top and I'm going to try to get goals wherever I can.
Okay, so we mentioned Wood and Pulisic.
Yep.
There, of course, has been US national team roster named. I want to give, there's 26 names are on there. I want to give just a quick thumbs up to Bruce Arena for what I think is a really sensible roster. And just to say that we're going to talk more about the roster through the rest of the week. The game against Costa Rica is going to be Friday evening. We've got the rest of the week to talk about it.
Oh, and I think I've already missed one of my predictions for the season.
What's that?
Because I predicted that Danny Williams would be in that roster. So no luck there, but more on that roster and the players who were included.
Yep.
Because I'm sure that people are already angrily tweeting at you with what you just said. So we'll talk more about that tomorrow.
Yes, we will. Okay, I've got a quick couple of thumbs up for La Liga. You got any over there?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so thumbs up to Leo Messi, who took the central striker role for Barcelona as they beat Alaves 2-0, and didn't look very dribbly, but was just more of the sort of lethal finisher Leo Messi that we know. He missed a penalty, but he scored 2. Do you know what I'm talking about? There are moments where you think of Messi as a dribbler, but you also just see he's got that sort of predatory instinct where he'll just take a couple of touches and bang it in the corner. He did that twice for Barcelona. They beat Alaves 2-0. Speaking of La Liga, other thumbs up for Marco Asensio. Have you seen these goals?
Yes, I have.
So 2 left-footed goals from Marco Asensio in Real Madrid's 2-2 draw with Valencia. He scored the opening goal and then he scored the equalising goal to make it 2-2 quite late in the game, I think.
83rd minute.
I noticed both goals, goalkeeper does not move. And that's not because we're talking about a terrible goalkeeper here.
Yeah.
Right? It's more about the sort of, who is it in goal? I've forgotten who was in Neto, Brazilian keeper, right? Is in goal for Valencia. And both shots come in so fast and so swervy that he's just what happened?
I feel the need to clarify that I have that starting lineup in front of me.
Oh, do
it's
you?
not that I just know that off the top of my head, nor do I know the minute that Asensio scored the equalizer. But I have it in front of me because I wanted to say thumbs up to a man who I don't love because of certain off-the-field incidents, but it's Karim Benzema. And I just want to say that man, I feel like he is one of the most underappreciated people in that Real Madrid squad. He is Real Madrid's 8th all-time goal-scoring leader, and I think 5th in terms of Champions League goal-scoring, and yet it still seems like he's very underappreciated. When he doesn't score, he gets booed, he gets criticized, but I think he's an exceptional player for that Madrid team.
But that's happened this weekend. People are complaining that, I think, so Ronaldo's still out, right? But people were saying Asensio had to save Real Madrid because Karim Benzema couldn't get it done. And when I watched, he's I think he had one that was saved onto the bar.
Yeah.
He does all kinds of work. I think, he is massively underappreciated.
Yes, he is.
He's like Sisyphus pushing a goal scoring record up a hill, and Real Madrid fans just aren't impressed.
That's a solid reference there, Dale Grove. Well done, my friend. Well done.
You got any other thumbs up, thumbs down for me?
I don't think I do. So I'll let you continue to go.
All right, I've got some from Major League Soccer.
What you got?
I don't know if you know about this. Thumbs up to David Villa, who has been called up to the Spain squad. He is back in the Spain squad. 19 goals for NYCFC in MLS this year. Has sort of got the attention of Lopetegui, I think is how you pronounce it. The new Spain.
I believe it is.
I'm so used to it being Del Bosque forever that I'm surprised it's not him.
Should we just go not Del Bosque?
Yeah, from not Del Bosque. I did notice that this may be to do with...
Is it Julian? Is it Julian Lopetegui?
Julen, Julen.
Okay.
It's Diego Costa is not currently active, and so therefore not available for selection. I wonder if David Villa is the beneficiary of the Diego Costa transfer mess.
I would assume so. I was pretty surprised with the call-up, not because David Villa doesn't deserve it. He does. He's a great goal scorer and has been doing very good things. But just because it seems like with Spain, with Italy, same thing with Giovinco, it just becomes sort of no, you're not in Europe, so we'll look elsewhere. But I think, it probably is that without Diego Costa, and that has been sort of a thing for Spain in years past, that it is difficult to find who is going to be that front striker who's going to lock it down, hold things down.
Maybe it's going to be David Villa again.
I would have no problem with
Euro
that.
2008 all over again. I also want to give sort of general thumbs up to US national team players showing off in Major League Soccer.
All right.
So there were some great skills from MLS players this weekend. You ready for this list? Tyler Adams pulled out a nutmeg in New York Red Bulls 1-1 draw with NYCFC. This is young Tyler Adams pulling out nutmegs on the wing. Michael Bradley had one of those, when you drag it back and then flick it, You do like the reverse inside pass. Michael Bradley had one of those in the sort of number 6 defensive midfield spot for Toronto as they beat Montreal 3-1. Toronto crushing Major League Soccer. Josie Altidore with a sweet left-footed finish. These two guys are showing off for Toronto, and it's wonderful to watch. And Chris Wondolowski with the third goal in the Cali Clasico, San Jose 3-0 win over the LA Galaxy. He follows up on a rebound and chips it over the keeper. It's like a Panenka in the run of play from Chris Wondolowski.
Yep.
That's the sort of finish that gets you on the US men's national team roster.
Crickets over here.
You've seen this goal, right?
I have. I had not. You showed it to me, and I was like, all right, okay. I see what you're getting at.
Pretty good, right?
And I know there are still reasons to not love Chris Wondolowski. Again, we will probably talk about that tomorrow. But, he can finish, at least for San Jose, in those sorts of moments.
Get out of here.
I want to say a thumbs down, even though it feels harsh to do to the LA Galaxy. Shutout in 4 consecutive home games for the first time ever.
It's a bad spot. They're also, unless I read this incorrectly, I think they're second bottom either of the West or of the entire Supporters' Shield.
I'm not sure, Daryl, but I think that's bad. I think you don't want that to be the case.
What you expect. I'll say this, it does, to me, underlines the quality of Bruce Arena. Do you remember pre-Bruce Arena, the LA Galaxy were kind of a mess, and it's kind of, they had Beckham and they had Donovan and I think they had Robbie Keane, but
Ruud Gullit was doing a great job. I don't know what you're talking about.
But nothing was coming together, right? Bruce Arena comes in, bunch of MLS Cups. I mean, his final season was not perfect, but that was a very successful spell for the LA Galaxy with Bruce Arena in charge. Bruce Arena leaves, all of a sudden, not so good.
It reminds me that Bruce Arena, I feel like, would, if we ever told him what we did, if he became aware that like these two guys talk about soccer 5 days a week, he'd be like, that's too much. Like it's simple. You don't need to do this. Just put the players on the field, put them in a good position, you'll win the games. You're fine.
So he won't be one of our A-round investors.
Probably not. But you know what I mean. That like I know that it's a lot more goes into it, a lot of preparation, and he like has specific instructions for specific players for specific games. But it does still just feel like that's his biggest strength. Is like he simplifies and gets people to buy into a system because they believe in the system and they believe in him.
All right. So in terms of fixing the LA Galaxy's problems, this is the only thing on that I know is happening.
Yeah.
Rob Stone tweeted that Tuesday afternoon there'll be a big Galaxy announcement. I genuinely have no idea. I don't think what that is. The only thing I can think is that Joe Van Dam has gone.
Yeah.
So they have a DP spot maybe for a central defender. And they may be bringing in another defender. You're looking at me like you know something.
No, I was just pondering, like maybe
Joe Gomez.
I wonder if like maybe they thought there was a chance they were going to get Zlatan, and now it's like we'll announce him for next season. That would be pretty terrible if it was like Zlatan will play with Manchester United through the remainder of this year and then go play for the Galaxy. That's probably not going to make people too pumped about this season.
I don't think that's coming. He's not going to be leaving Man United in March.
No, the other thing that is worth adding here is that. It depends on your definition of significant when it comes to the LA Galaxy. Because from what I understand, there is rumors that Dom Kinnear might be getting an assistant job at the LA Galaxy. So
work under Ziggy Schmidt.
Apparently. And I guess would that qualify as significant news if you're hiring an assistant coach?
Kind of. If it's a former head coach of a team, maybe. I mean, it's not going to get fans super excited, right?
No, but it's not quite as troll level as PSG. I think they deserve thumbs up for that troll.
What they do?
Where they announced that we've got like big news to announce later on. Like we're going to announce big news involving a player whose name has an M in it or something, or starts with M, begins with M, and then it was happy birthday to Thiago Motta.
But happy birthday, Thiago Motta.
Yeah, sure, why not?
I have a final thumbs up. Final thumbs up is the reason we're recording this podcast late. Normally we record Sunday night. A lot of people thought it's because we wanted to watch Game of Thrones.
Which is not incorrect.
It's not true, right? But that's not the main reason is I was out of town all weekend. I was down in Charlotte at the Street Soccer Project 658 tournament. I want to give a really sincere thumbs up to Project 658 for putting that tournament on and to Petey Fink for organising that tournament. My players had a great time, so thank you, Pete. I know he listens. Also, thumbs up to Jonathan. I met listener Jonathan, Charlotte-based accountant Jonathan. Met him down there at the tournament.
So that is with the Street Soccer International Tournament, but Street Soccer in Richmond,
Southeast US.
Excuse me, but Street Soccer in Richmond will be participating in this domestic campaign in the fall.
I've never called it a campaign before.
It's absolutely a campaign, and we're still looking for players.
We need a couple players to fill out our roster. Thank you to Alex who already contacted us. He'll be joining us at practice on Tuesday. If you would like to get involved with our street soccer team, and look up Street Soccer USA so you can find out what the team is all about. If you want to, Taylor coaches the team. I sort of do the admin, but also, play and coach a little bit. If you would like to join us, we're looking for players. Please email contact@totalsoccershow.com. Put street soccer in the subject line so that we can spot it and we'll know that you're interested. Obviously, you need to be in the Richmond area unless you are very committed to travelling very far for games. Practice on Tuesday nights, games on Sunday, and we're looking for a couple of players. So get in touch. Contact@totalsoccershow.com.
We do some drills, we do some scrimmaging, we do some technical work. It's fun times at practice, even if it's structured fun times.
Yeah, structured fun time. Monica from Friends' favourite kind of
I think so. Speaking of structured fun time, should we get to some scouting reports?
Yes.
All right. We've got several reports to get through.
Several means many, right?
It's been a busy weekend. Up first is Mark Bujarski scouting Cody Sundqvist, the 18-year-old American. After months of seemingly doing nothing, Sundqvist has moved from Fiorentina's U19s to Junioren Bundesliga North Club VfL Osnabrück. I apologize, Matt Herman. U19s on a free transfer.
Osnabrück, I think, is the team that beat Hamburg in the Cup early in the season.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
You've heard it here first. He's making that World Cup squad. He scored a beauty in his debut and played the full 90, so it's definitely a positive development as he's actually getting playing time, even if it is with another U19 squad.
Cody Sundqvist. And as we know, Germany U19 teams is where it's at, right? Yep. The second team is not so good. The U19 team is where they think this kid has promise.
Yeah, U19 is like, technical development?
Yeah.
And then the U23 is maybe a bit more like, get knocked around a bit, deal with the physicality.
Yeah, or you only just made it.
Or that, yeah.
Jonathan Holmgren is scouting Alex Iwobi, the 21-year-old Nigerian winger for Arsenal. Didn't make an appearance this weekend, I don't think. Iwobi has been named to Nigeria's 23-man squad for their World Cup qualifiers against Cameroon on September 1st and 4th. Jonathan adds that he will be doing army training for the next month and will not be able to provide updates until October. Thank you for letting us know in advance, Jonathan.
And thank you, Jonathan, for doing your service. Although I have to add, when you say doing army training, I can't help but think of Buster Blue. Yeah. So if you come back with a medal that's actually a stuffed seal, I'm going to have questions, Jonathan. That's all I can say.
Watch Alex Iwobi score like a hat trick every game while Jonathan's gone.
Up next, Colin Bish scouting Eric Williamson, 20-year-old American midfielder for the University of Maryland.
Go pro, Eric.
Eric put in a good performance in his first game of the season, scoring a rebound and getting a nice assist by slotting the ball between four players into the path of his striker. Maryland went on to win 4-2 against Santa Clara, or as your people would say, Santa Clara.
Alec Brew is
scouting... We both made that a little Borat-y at the end.
Alec Brew is scouting Davy Selke. It should be Keira Knightley, right? The 22-year-old German forward for Hertha Berlin. Selke is still out with a toe injury, but at least he can chat with Jonathan Klinsmann in the physio's room. Thanks, Alec.
Before we move on to more scouting, I did want to add, speaking of our failed impersonations,
Speak for yourself. Mine was solid.
You know Charlie McDennis 2, Electric Boogaloo? That episode where they all have to speak in accents for a brief period? I realized that without much preparation, it is very difficult to do an accent that doesn't slowly become Borat.
Yeah.
Because I think they get Brazil, and in trying to do my fake Brazilian accent, it just really does devolve to Borat real fast, no matter where you go. So, with that said...
Ironically, your Kazakhstan one doesn't.
Yeah, right? That's perfect Brazilian. Up next is Todd Ito scouting Takefusa Kubo, the 16-year-old Japanese midfielder for FC Tokyo. This one doubles as a little bit of a U.S. scouting report as well.
Okay, let's get it.
Japan won the Vaclav Jezek U17 tournament, beating hosts Czech Republic 4-2 in the final. At this point, I wondered, wait, weren't the USA in this tournament? Now I'm confused. Kubo came on in the 72nd minute and scored an excellent counterattack goal from close range in the 89th minute. Japan went undefeated in the tournament, winning their group by beating Russia 1-0, Hungary 5-2, and the USA 4-0.
Ooh.
Ouch, says Todd. Kubo scored a very pretty goal against Russia from just outside the box and sat against Hungary, I think, says Todd, because Hungary sucks. Except for a very basic box score, I have been unable to find any information about the USA-Japan game, which is disappointing since the U.S. looked really good in their third-place game.
I'd say don't worry too much because the U.S. sent not their full U17 team to this tournament. As I understand it, no Andrew Carlton, no Chris Durkin.
No, he was there. Andrew Carlton was there.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, my assumption, though, would be that this is supposed to be a warm-up for the U17 World Cup, so it might have been that it really was Hackworth kind of rotating people, trying different things and seeing what worked. So it might have been not their best players in that game against Japan. That's what I'm going to go with.
I'm grasping at straws here and just hoping that things are going to be okay. Daniel Jones is scouting Cody Cropper, the 24-year-old American keeper, now with the New England Revolution. Daniel sent us a DC United fan scouting report on the upcoming fixture against New England, which read... Quote, Cody Cropper has been a stable upgrade for the Revs. While he's not exactly knocking on the door of becoming one of Major League Soccer's elite goalkeepers, he's solid and doesn't make major mistakes. If the Revs lose this game, it's probably not going to be Cropper's fault, unquote.
It's a great report. Up next, Keith Kalmbach scouting Federico Valverde, the 19-year-old Uruguayan midfielder for Deportivo La Coruña.
Swervy!
On loan from Real Madrid. Deportivo lost the first game of the season 3-0 to Real Madrid and drew 2-2 with Levante. Our Swervy pal didn't feature in either match. Oof. If the trend continues, I might just have to leave future reports with just scores and sad faces, keeping my fingers crossed, knocking on all the wood, and throwing salt over my shoulder as I write this.
Don't get it on your keyboard.
That would be bad.
Will Cunningham is scouting Cameron Carter-Vickers, the 19-year-old American defender for ...
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's going to be revealed on Friday. CCV was sent on loan to Sheffield United.
You did it, buddy. You always say it, forgetting that it's going to be in the body.
Thank you, Will.
I'm so proud of you.
Cameron Carter-Vickers has gone on loan to Sheffield United. This is part of Mauricio Pochettino's plan to have younger players train with the first team for 2 years and then send them out on loan if they haven't become consistent contributors after that time. Is that a stated plan? This does not mean that he won't make the Tottenham team in the future. It just means that Pochettino has decided that him getting actual playing time is more valuable than spending time with the first team. I agree with Pochettino here.
I agree with that, and I'm hoping that this is like the stated plan, but it also feels sort of like how I would try to spin this if it were me and like a player I was scouting. I'm like, no, it's great. Like, he's not good enough for the first team, and even though they've said they want to give him minutes and they don't want to send people on loan, no, but they will just want him to get first team minutes.
But Will's obviously a US fan like us. We've met Will Cunningham, right? Mm-hmm. He's a US fan like us, but he's also a Spurs fan. So I guess he would want the most positive version of this to be true.
Yeah, I mean, but maybe this is also something that Pochettino has said before. When I read that, I was like, I want that to be true so much. I want that to be true.
And Will, if you're listening to this episode, please keep an eye on Sheffield United. We'd love to know how CCV does at Sheffield United.
Up next, we've got Rick Stawicki scouting Masaya Okugawa, the 21-year-old Japanese midfielder for FC Liefering.
Okay.
I learned some things in this report. After appearing in 59 matches over 2 seasons with FC Liefering in the Austrian 2nd Division, Okugawa has been loaned up to Austrian 1st Division side FC Mattersburg. So far this season, he's only made 1 appearance in 5 matches, but it's still a step in the right direction towards Liefering's parent club, RB Salzburg. I did not realize that they are owned by the same company, the soft drink manufacturing company.
Yeah, and they're allowed to be called Red Bull Salzburg in Austria because the laws are different.
Indeed. Yeah. But did you know that Liefering were owned by them as well? Because I did not. I learned. See? Scouting reports. You learn stuff. You learn stuff, Daryl.
Guy Jedwab is scouting Serge Gnabry, the 22-year-old German winger for Hoffenheim on loan from Bayern Munich. Gnabry made the cut for Germany's World Cup qualifying roster over Manuel Neuer. Okay, it's definitely unrelated. But more notably, Gnabry is still the only member of the U21 squad that won the European Championships this summer who made the cut for the senior squad.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well done, Serge.
A good-looking goal?
Yeah. And well done to Matthew Anderson, who is the final report of today. Many more to get to tomorrow. Matthew is scouting Godfrey Donso, the 21-year-old Ghanaian midfielder for Bologna. The 21-year-old Ghanaian midfielder was rumored to be on loan. Was rumored to have a loan move to Torino.
That's a tight editing file, right?
No, I think that was how the report was written.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
So Matthew's just making sure we got that information.
Yeah, he was rumored to be on loan, which is helpful because I think the position is not in the scouting field.
It is.
So I always have to look it up. You claim that it's not.
I put it in there recently.
Well, then it's still not there because I still have to go and Google this.
We're going to totalsoccershow.com/report after this to take a look.
Then maybe there's a glitch in the matrix. He was rumored to get a loan move to Torino for the past few weeks, but he started and scored the lone goal in Bologna's win at Benevento on Saturday. Nice. It was a lovely goal at that, with Donso taking possession near midfield and beating 2 defenders before a perfect low corner strike from about 15 yards out.
Go, Donso.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you to Mark, Jonathan, Colin, Alec, Todd, Daniel, Keith, Will, Rick, Guy and Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll never match my pace.
I mean, it's impressive. It's also, I remember when I was like 6 years old, and I think it was my mom reading to me from a book, and that ability to like remember the last line of the page, so then you'd turn the page, remember the last line, and kind of continue seamlessly reading, and that blew my mind. It seemed like wizardry. So I always appreciate when you can do that too, and you remember those last 2 names.
Do you still think it's wizardry?
I mean, a little bit. I don't know how reading works.
Well, sincerely thank you to everybody who sent scouting reports. If your report wasn't on this show, it will be on tomorrow's show. We just have a lot to get to. If you'd like to leave us a report, it's totalsoccershow.com/report. If you could send it there, it's really helpful. If you send it via email, it could get lost. If you send it to the website, totalsoccershow.com/report, then it compiles them all nicely for us. It makes our day a lot easier to manage.
It does.
If you'd like to join the network, you go to totalsoccershow.com/join. Make a monthly monthly subscription donation to the show, and then we'll add you to the scouting network. I am very aware that it's been a week since I added scouts, so I've got to go through and assign some players to our new scoutees. Scoutees? No, scouts. The players of the scoutees. We never get the terminology right.
We never do, and I think to the extent that one time I made it like the reverse scoutee. You're like, you mean a scout? That is correct.
So if you're waiting, I will get it to you this week. I 100% promise.
It might have been scoutier is what I went with there. Look, I'm not smart, all right? That should be established by now.
Yeah. Final thing. We will be back on Tuesday to talk about the US men's national team World Cup qualifying roster. The first game of the 2-game stretch is Friday night against Costa Rica. We'll obviously be doing our watch and review of that Friday night. Yep. Thank you to Bun for...
And I think we're going to do the plan. We haven't really talked about this, but my assumption, we'll make some plans live on the show. Yeah. My assumption is we'll do a quick take, hot take, and then a full review that evening.
Yes.
Does that work for you?
Yeah, that's going to be our Friday night, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah?
Hooray.
Good for you?
Yep.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
There's nowhere else I'd rather be.
It sounds good to me now. I did not know that game was happening as of 2 hours ago.
Thank you to Bonfire.com for sponsoring today's show. If you would like to sell your own merchandise via Bonfire.com, one, we thoroughly recommend it, and not just because they're advertising. Two, go to Bonfire.com/Total Soccer and send us an email afterwards so you can let us know and we can help you promote it. No out-of-pocket cost, and then a good cut of the proceeds goes to you or your organization or your non-profit.
And the design help, I think that's pretty key.
Yes.
At least for me, you have a bit more Photoshop skills, which is to say you
have
some Photoshop skills.
I have a copy of Photoshop.
There you go.
And Jason helped me use it.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, they will. If you have no design skills, you can just send them like your rough idea, and the design team at Bonfire will help you put together a design for your t-shirt or long sleeve t-shirt or tank top or hoodie or sweater or whatever it is that you want to sell. On that note, we will say, Taylor Rockwell, thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Right back at you, buddy.
Listeners, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.